Hello, hello! It's Julie Davison from juliedavison.com. Welcome to Thursday Afternoon Live. That's right. It is a little bit after 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. What is today? November 5th. And I'm not doing a Thursday night live because tonight our virtual OnStage at home event kicks off. This is a Stampin' Up event that they do every November to kick off the next mini catalog. So I'm excited to see some sneak peeks, and it all gets started tonight with an entertainment and recognition evening. And so during our regular Thursday night stamp therapy, I will be enjoying all of the recognition and stamping and entertainment that Stampin' Up! Is providing to kick off the OnStage at home event. Now, I know many of you are demonstrators, so leave me a comment if you are excited about attending OnStage at home. This is a virtual event, so we're not going anywhere, but we're going to all connect online, and I'm super excited about that. So today I'm coming to you in the afternoon, or maybe you're watching the replay at our normal time, and I'm a little bit late. I don't know if you guys saw the photograph. I was ready to go. I reached down to grab my anti-fatigue mat because I stand during my videos, and I was also trying to finish my lunch smoothie, which is berries and orange juice and kale. And I don't know what happened, but I spilled it, and it went like all over my face, like under my glasses, into my nose. It went all over the wall, literally just a few minutes before I was supposed to be live. Oh my goodness. So I'm here. I have a clean shirt. I wiped up the floor. I think I still have a little smoothie inside my nose. But I'm excited to share some projects with you today. My head is kind of all crazy as I am trying to take care of Stamp of the Month Club and bonus projects. And so this morning I kind of tried to figure out what I was going to show you. So I do have three projects I'm going to share with you today. 4? Did I come up with 4? Oh, maybe I have 4. Maybe... I think I do have 4. Well, let's just see. I'm too funny. I hope that I'm entertaining you. I hope that you're having fun. Okay, let's get started. So, I am trying to decide what to share with you. I found this card from Leanne Greff, and Leanne was a recent $1 million sales achiever. That means that she, in her career as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, has achieved $1 million in personal sales. Isn't that incredible? I just surpassed 700,000 this spring, so I'm still a few years away from achieving my million. But once you hit $1 million in personal career sales, you get to help design a stamp set. And so Leanne helped design the Life is Beautiful stamp set that's in the August through December 2020 mini catalog. I absolutely adore this stamp set because it's got stuff for every occasion, and I even featured it for Stamp of the Month Club in September. I should have pulled those cards, but I was busy spilling my smoothie. Anyway, it's so gorgeous, and there's so much you can do with it. But I got this swap card from her, and I really love this technique of reverse spotlighting, or masking. I think it goes by several names depending on how you're looking at it. I'm going to show you how to do this technique. I'm going to change up the colors and do something a little bit more snowy and Christmassy. And so the colors that I chose were the challenge colors this week for the Global Design Project. Every now and then I check in and see what their current challenge is, and I try to participate because I love a good creative challenge. So this week their color challenge is Coastal Cabana, Smoky Slate, and then a color of your choice. So I am going to use Highland Heather, and we're going to do kind of a snowy card. Excuse me. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is create a mask for the oval. And I should have done this ahead of time, but I was too busy spilling my smoothie. So we're going to take whatever we have on hand. We have this stitched shape framelits out. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. it might be a little bit small. The other thing you can use is the layering ovals, and I think that's probably what Leanne used. Let me get those out and see if I can find one that's just a hair bigger. Layering circles, layering squares, large numbers. Oh my goodness. Layering ovals. The layering ovals has both scallop and plain ovals of many sizes. That looks like the same one that Leanne used. And mine are not very organized, but I would say this is probably one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest oval. And you know what? There's not a wrong way. So if you're doing this and you want to use your stitched ovals or another shape, there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally fine. So we're going to die cut this with the ovals. Let's bust out our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I know that many of you have been asking about the mini machine, and Stampin' Up still is working on getting that manufactured. There were some delays with the pandemic and everything, and unfortunately it does not look like the mini machine is going to be available before Christmas. I had hoped that we would get it as a Christmas thing that we could, gift to our favorite crafters for Christmas or ourselves, but it doesn't look like that is going to happen, unfortunately. So if you've been waiting for it, it's going to be a few more months, probably in the springtime, maybe during celebration. So that is my update on that. Is this too big? Did I cut it right? Well, it looks perfect. All right, so we've got our mask, our oval. Let's set this back aside. This is the standard machine. It is available, so if you're looking for a new die cutting machine, I highly recommend the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. Speaking of which, I have a little bit of an update. If you have purchased the magnetic platform, Stampin' Up is recalling it, and there's been some problems with it warping and not staying straight. So they are completely removing it from the product line right now as they try to figure out what's going on. Customers and demonstrators who've purchased the magnetic platform will get a coupon code with credit in the same amount as the magnetic platform. You do not need to send your magnetic platform back to Stampin' Up. You can either continue to use it or discard it. So that's an update. If you have any specific questions, you can reach out to me and let me know. I'm gonna turn this over. This is the grid paper for OnStage. They sent us a few sheets. It's really sturdy. I kind of like it. And I just thought I would grab a piece and use that. I knew I wanted to do this sponging, and so I just wanted to have a surface to be able to do that on. Usually I forget to cover my desk. Okay, so we're going to use, I really love how Leanne used the two different colors here. So we're going to use Coastal Cabana and Highland Heather. And let's start with the Coastal Cabana. So we're going to sponge, and you can get 3 packs of stamping sponges. I like to cut them into quarters. The other thing you can use is our sponge daubers, which fit onto your fingertip, or the sponge brayer. These are all things that you can sponge with. I like to cut those, like I said, I cut them into quarters and use them. You can even make like a little handle for it with a punched shape. So I've got my cardstock here. This is 3.5 by 4 3/4, and then the mask size is the same, and so I'm just going to put it right over and only going to sponge inside of the cutout, the oval. And when you're sponging, you want to do, I like to call it like a burnishing motion, where you can do like a squish motion, or you can burnish, or a combination of both. So we're just going to add some color here. I've got that, oh, the lines. Why is it turning out green? Did I already use this sponge with a different color? I get my inner monologue today. Oh, this is not turning out how I'd hoped. Let's turn it over and try again. And you know what? I'm going to try a different sponge because I feel like there's some kind of green going on here. Okay. Nice soft touch when you're sponging. That looks so much better. If you do a pounce, you often end up with like the lines. So just a soft touch. Rubbing that color on, and I'm doing like a diagonal half, kind of like Leanne's inspiration card. Okay, now I'm going to switch colors. I'm going to do the Highland Heather. And I'm going to cut a new piece of sponge just so that I don't have any residual color. I don't sponge a lot, but one way to keep your sponge and your colors organized is to create a little tab of cardstock that you can staple onto your sponge, and that way you'll know what color it was and you won't have any kind of mess ups like I did. Okay, so just a nice burnishing motion again. And you're just going to sort of blend the line a little bit of where those are. Oops. You want to try to keep that mask in place. I think that's good enough. I'm going to remove it, and you can see we've got just the circle of our sponged layer. And I love this technique because it makes it look like it's layered even though it's not. This is all one flat piece. Now we're going to add our images. So we have the tree, and we're going to add that in Smoky Slate. Oh, this is such a big stamp. It requires the largest of the clear blocks. Oh, this card's going to be a hot mess. I don't think I inked my stem all the way down. Let's find out. Oh, I did, but there's kind of a weird line. Oh my goodness. All right. We're going to stamp the sentiment in Thinking of You in Smoky Slate. And then we're going to add some of the details using the circles, and we're going to use the snowflakes too. So Leanne kind of did just some of the circles. So I'm going to do the circles in the Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to add the snowflakes in Highland Heather. So we have kind of a different color scheme, but you can still see the same inspiration from Leanne's card. So I'm going to do some simple layering just like she did. I've got Smoky Slate and Coastal Cabana. I feel like we need some ribbon or something. Maybe, I have some snowflakes. Let's add the snowflakes when we get these layered, and we'll see what they look like. I'm not sure where we would put the ribbon. So on Leanne's card, she did the birdhouse, but this is a winter card, and so that seems like an odd thing to add to the card. So let's start with some adhesive backed snowflakes, and maybe that'll just help fill out the card a little bit. Oh, I love that. You really have to like commit. They don't come up very easily. Yeah, I like it. What do you think? I hope this set gets carried over too. I can't make any predictions because every time I try to guess, like, I feel like I'm wrong. This doesn't have any dies, so I think that lessens its chance. Reaching down for some ribbon. It doesn't have any dies, so I think that lessens its chance of being carried over. And the $1 million stamp sets, I used to say that they always were carried over, but that's not always the case anymore. So it's hard to say. So I will tell you this, if you are looking at this stamp set, do not wait. Don't wait for it to carry over. Get it now. You always will regret once it's retired. So if you're thinking about it, that means you should get it. This is the iridescent Snowflake Splendor ribbon, and it's really a very stiff ribbon. I was just trying to figure out if there was a good place to put this where it makes sense on the tree. I did see someone's comment about putting it around the white layer. And sometimes, have you ever done like a little faux ribbon where you you tuck it? It doesn't actually go all the way around. You just tuck it under, obviously with some glue dots, and then the bow over the top. I feel like that's not where it needs something. I feel like it needs something more up top, though. I love this ribbon with the colors. I'm just not sure. Just not sure what to do with it. I will have to play some more. Today was so last minute that I didn't get any finished samples ready. So I'm just sort of, I had an idea in my head and I'm just kind of like figuring it out as I go. Yeah, maybe that's why she added the birdhouse, because it fills in that space a little bit. I'll just put it right there, right in the middle of the card. It's pretty though, isn't it? Well, I'll play around and see if there's a good place to add it. I don't know. I have that little boo-boo. I could put it right there, but that seems a little random. Doesn't it? Let's move on. Let's create something else. That was our first card with the Life is Beautiful stamp sets. And I'm going to flip that back over so we have something pretty to look at. Our next card, I wanted to do some embossing. This is a card I think I'm going to have for my October bonus project kit. Hear that, guys? I think. I still haven't finished designing my projects. I need to catch up and be ahead, but that's not the case. I have these gorgeous gold foil note cards. They come in a package with metallic gold envelopes. And then I think there's 10 cards and 10 envelopes. And so I wanted to do a project with these note cards because they're so pretty and they're kind of hiding. If you're wondering where they are in the catalog, let me show you really quick. They're in the mini catalog and they're on page 51. So they're not part of a suite. They're just kind of like, actually, look at that. They're right there on the Life is Beautiful page. But they're just kind of tucked in the corner. So I think they're easy to miss. So I wanted to point those out. It's item number 153532. And so even though I think the idea is they're good for Christmas cards, you can use them for other projects. So for this card, I'm using a piece of the Gilded Autumn designer paper, which if you were waiting for that, I think it's back in stock. I love this paper for the fall. We still have a little bit of fall left, so you can make sure to grab that paper in the online store. And then I have a piece of gold foil that is going to be a little banner. So let's punch Might need to cut this in half, but let's go ahead and punch both ends. This is the Pick a Punch banner punch, and it has, this is what I don't like about this punch, is that it's not always straight. So sometimes you need to kind of put it in the back and make sure you're getting a centered banner. I think for sure I'm going to have to show you my trick to layer this. Okay, so we're going to now stamp the sentiment. I love this one. My heart is grateful for you. This is part of the Beautiful Autumn. Oops, I already got it out. Okay, so for heat embossing, this is not something that I do a lot, but it's a really easy technique. You need an ink pad like the Versamark, which is this is a watermark ink pad, but any kind of thicker craft ink that doesn't dry as fast as the Stampin' Up! Classic ink, which is a dye-based ink. And then you're going to use some embossing powder. Now this is my original gold embossing powder. I've had this for, I'm not joking, 18 years. Unless you're doing just a ton of embossing, it's going to last you a long time because you can reuse it. You just filter it right back in. Now we don't have the embossing buddy tool anymore, so just use your finger or a paintbrush and brush some of the extra pieces away. And then you're going to use a heat tool, which is a concentrated heat source, to heat the powder until it melts. So right now we have sort of this dull looking powder, and we're going to heat it, and it's going to be shiny gold. The heat tool has two settings. That's the low setting and the high setting. And you can see it start to turn as it heats up. It does get really hot, so I didn't die cut this first because I wanted to have more cardstock to hold on to, but you can use a pair of tweezers or something to kind of hold it away from your hands. Isn't that gorgeous? This is such an easy technique, and it really elevates your project and makes it so beautiful to add this fancy embossed detail. I want to give that just a second to cool down, and then I'm going to die cut it with the stitched shapes dies. So we're going to do a stitched oval. So let's get our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back out. And, whoops, oh my goodness, I'm a hot mess today. Okay, so we're going to center this. Now, I told you earlier that the magnetic plate was having some issues, and so Stampin' Up! Pulled it. So if you want to keep your framelit to stay put, you can use washi tape or a Post-it to hold the framelit in place on the paper while you're die cutting so it doesn't have any shifting. Okay, so there is our die cut image. I love the stitch detail on the stitched shapes. Now the stitched shapes die set includes circles, squares, and ovals. So I like that you get kind of all the shapes in that one set. So really one of my most used, I would say, framelit sets. I use it quite a bit. All right, let's do some simple layering and finish up this card. So this one is super easy. Now I was worried that my banner was going to be too short, but it's actually just perfect. If it was too short, you could snip it in half and then have it stick out from either end, and that way it shows on both sides. But I think this is just perfect. So I'm gonna put some adhesive on the back of my oval and glue it to the strip. And then we're gonna use some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of the oval. Now this piece of designer paper is 2 3/4 inches by 4 inches, and it's layered on a piece of Cajun Craze that is 3 inches by 4 1/4. And then I love dimensionals, so we're going to do some more on the back of this card to put it on the card base. So really simple but elegant. If you're sending Thanksgiving cards, this would be a really great design. Really just beautiful. This Gilded Autumn designer paper really just pops with the gold detail on the gold foil edged card. What do you guys think of that one? Do you send cards for Thanksgiving? I feel like that's a holiday that I often skip when it comes to card making because it's so close to Christmas that I'm getting my Christmas cards ready to send, and I don't often send cards for Thanksgiving. But if you do, this is a really pretty one, and you could use this same design for Christmas and just use a different paper. So these gold edge and note cards I think are going to be so perfect for multiple holidays, even Valentine's Day. Like, I think this would be a great card base for your Valentine's as well. Hi, Christina. Today I'm just showing you some fun projects. Just, I feel like they're kind of random. We made this card with the sponging technique, and then we just finished up the Thanksgiving card. I have 2 more projects to show. When I was prepping, I lost track, I guess. I didn't mean to do 4. Usually we just do 3. But that is not the case today. Okay, so I'm going to get out the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again, and we're going to use the Evergreen embossing folder. This embossing folder has been so popular. If you don't have it yet, you might think about adding this to your next order. This is a 3D embossing folder, and so the detail that you get is really quite incredible. Let me show you. I copied this card design from the catalog, and it has embossing on the white card base and then the gold foil cardstock. This is, again, a really gorgeous, classic way to incorporate gold foil onto your cards. Moving some things out of the way. So we're going to send this through the Bake Shop. I've got a piece of gold foil that is 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. And I'm specifically targeting this darker tree that looks a little bit thicker in the corner. And for this, since this is a 3D embossing folder, we're going to use do not use with embossing folders. Oh, this is number 2. This is the main platform, and it tells you right here with 3D embossing folders, you want to use the platform, which is number 1. Then you have your embossing folder, and then the plate number 4, which is this dark gray one. This is an embossing plate. So this is what you're going to use for 3D embossing folders: your platform, your embossing folder, and then your 3D embossing plate. I think it's called a specialty plate, and that creates the right thickness for this embossing folder. Okay, so I hope you can see that the 3D embossing folder, it sort of makes different dimensions. So you have a layer of trees that are kind of in the background, and then this tree is sort of in the foreground, and so it's a little heavier, a little darker, and we're going to spotlight that with our Stampin' Blend markers. So this was a technique that my upline, Kim Peck, showed us at a team meeting last month. First, before I do that, I'm just going to give this a quick punch. And I'm using the 2 1/4 inch circle punch. And so I'm using a dark Mossy Meadow Stampin' Blend. And I'm just going to color on top of that one tree that's kind of in the foreground. Now the Stampin' Blends are alcohol markers, so it will stick to the foil and it will color. If you try to use like a regular watercolor marker, it's not going to stick to the foil because it's just a water-based marker. I was trying this earlier, and what I found was that if I pushed or if I colored too much on it, that the alcohol actually started to like strip away the top coating of the paper. So you just want to be really light and gentle with your coloring. I love the way that it just highlights that one tree. Okay, so we're going to use this piece on a card. Last week I showed you some cards with paper pumpkin, and I am really obsessed with this card layout. So I wanted to duplicate it with some different elements. So I have, instead of the Just Jade, I have Night of Navy, and then I'm using some designer paper pieces from the Brightly Gleaming designer paper, which is also one that I've been highlighting lately. So I've got some designer paper pieces there, and then I used the script. I forget what this one's called. It's like cursive words. And I embossed that with Pretty Peacock, which is one of the colors in the designer paper. So I'm just going to do some layering of the elements here. I loved the twine, and so I brought in some of the gold cord. This is part of a ribbon pack in the mini catalog. It comes paired up with this shaded spruce ribbon, and I'm just going to use a bit of that. It is very stiff, I think, and so I'm going to kind of get my loops how I want them to be, and then I'm going to turn it around and use some tear and tape to hold it in place. Oh, I struggle sometimes getting the loops just right. Let me see if I can do this again. So I kind of loop it. It's a little long. I think that's the problem. And let me reach in and get my tape ready. So I'm going to tear a piece off. I need a couple more hands. Okay, there's my loops again. And we have them on this side. Do you feel like this when you craft, that you just have problems getting it just right? Okay. Oh my god, it is such a beautiful day out in Central Illinois. I think it's like up in the 70s. It's gorgeous. The sun is shining. I'm trying to distract you because I'm struggling. Oh my goodness. Oh, habits to Betsy. Oh. So scripty. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Robin. This grid paper is the OnStage grid paper. I don't think that it is a supply item unless they added it, which they might have. But we do have several different grid papers available in the online store. So if you are looking for something pretty to protect your work surface, you'll find lots of options there. And you can place an order with me in my online store at juliedavison.com/shop. If you order $40 or more, then you get a free project kit from me. Still working on October, so if you ordered from me in October, thank you, and it's coming soon. Okay, you know what? That's just gonna be good enough. Let's go ahead and glue some of our layers down. Again, this is the Brightly Gleaming designer paper. This is, let me do a quick measurement so I can tell you. Here's my ruler. This is 2 3/4 inches by 4.5. And then this piece that is embossed is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I like doing a little angle on both of these. Then we have our 1 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch strip of striped paper. And our 2 1/4 inch circle. That's going to go on with Stampin' Dimensionals. And we just need to add a sentiment on this card. So I got out the itty bitty Christmas words. And I like the season's greeting because it sort of reflects the script that we see in the script font that we see in the embossing folder. I thought I had some little strips. Oh, right here. So I thought I would use this punch again. This punch has two different sides. There's the banner side and then the pointy side. So this is a 1/2 inch piece of cardstock, and I'm going to fit it right into the track and punch. So I've got the, might need it to be just a hair smaller. Let's stamp our sentiment first and see. I'm gonna do, you know, earlier I was using Mossy Meadow, but I've kind of like Night of Navy for this. So let me give this a quick swipe and clean it. And I'm gonna get out my Night of Navy. Let's try again. The S was really heavy. So I'm going to try to stamp really even. Oh, that's better. I kind of like it. I'm just wondering if it needs to be a little bit narrower. Oh no, my oh jeez. Okay, let's get the paper trimmer and I'm gonna go and trim just a little bit off of here. So instead of 1/2 inch, I'm gonna do 3/8 inch because it's just a little, oh dear. Well, that was not right. I think I needed 5/8 inch. Yes, because it was 3/4 inch before. So I'm going to go 5/8 inch, which is in between. There we go. And let's, now this time with the punch, it's not going to fit exactly in the track. Why does it fit in the track so well? Anyway, you're just gonna, you can turn it around and make sure that you're stamping centered. Just making sure it actually looked different than the first one. All right, it's right in the center, nice and even. Season's greetings. So I'm going to add this. I almost wish that my loopy loops were higher. Ah! Oh my goodness. Okay. I think my loops need to be more up here. Right? Yeah, I'm glad you guys agree. Okay, no problem. We're going to redimensionalize this. It wouldn't be a Julie video if I didn't tear apart my card. Oh, and yes, this is how it happens when I'm all by myself too. I tear things apart. Probably even more so. Even more than I do when you're watching. All right, this is going to layer onto the circle that has dimensions. I'm only putting dimensionals on one side. covering up that tree a little bit more than I want to, but that's okay. All right, one final touch to mimic the inspiration card. I'm going to add some gems. I really loved the glitter dots that I used here, so I'm going to use the gilded gems that I have from the annual catalog. So let's get those just right. Oh, there, that finishes it off so nicely. What do you think? And my inspiration card and then my redo. I have been posting the last couple days some inspiration projects from the catalog that I've cased, but sometimes I just case myself. Do you guys ever do that? Do you have a card that you love so much and then you just remake a different version of it? Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Okay, so that was card number 3. Let's go ahead, and I do have one more project to show you. So let's go ahead and do one more. What time is it? Almost 2 o'clock. So perfect. We are doing great on our time. All right, the next project is going to be a little box. And I have made this little half sheet box before, but I really love this lots of leaves version of it. So I just wanted to show it to you again. You're going to start with a half a sheet of cardstock to make this treat box. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. So just a regular half sheet of cardstock, and you're going to do some scoring. So I wrote it down here so I could show you. We're going to score at 1.5, 4, 5.5, and 8, and then we're going to turn it and score at 1.5 again. Okay, I'm going to put that right here. Hopefully you can still see it. So we're going to score at 1.5 and 4 and 5.5 and 8, and then turn and score at 1.5. Sorry, this kept getting covered up, guys. 1.5. Okay, so this is a simple box using a half a sheet of cardstock. And just to dress up our box a little bit, I'm going to use the die, here it is, from the Stitched Leaf dies. I love this die set. I'm so obsessed. It creates a stitched border around the outside of the leaf, as you see there. It also has these stitched embosslets that you can put in the middle if you want to create. And actually, I think I will use that on this one because it won't matter because it'll still be coming out. And then the piece that comes out will have that extra embellishment on it. For this one, I'm going to stamp some of the circles as well. This is one I have used quite a bit as well, I think, over the last few months. This Lots of Leaves, Love of Leaves stamp set. I'm going to use Bumblebee and Cajun Craze to stamp the leaves. And I don't have these on the blocks yet. Let me just grab them really quick. I always forget about this tip, but my friend Leanne, who I was telling you about her earlier with her $1 Million Achievement, she just reminded of me of this tip recently where you can, to avoid the staining on your stamps, you can ink it up with a lighter color ink like Petal Pink or soft seafoam before you ink with the dark color, and it sort of creates this you can use Versamark too. It just sort of creates this barrier. I guess on the stamp from the darker staining color really like getting in there. Obviously I forgot because my stamps are stained, but look, they still stamp. This variation in the color is intended. It's part of the design of this stamp set, is to have sort of this watercolor look. So pretty. So let's get out our cut and emboss machine again and do some cutting and embossing for this project. Sometimes I try to do stuff ahead of time, but today we're getting lots of use out of this. Okay, so for your framelits, you're going to have your regular base. Number 2 is the die cutting. This is the fin, like a fin die adapter. It's the second part of the platform. And then we have the cutting pad. So we're going to need to do this in 2 swipes because this is so big. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we can strategically place this. Okay, so this is going to be in the center of one of the larger panels on the treat box. And then over here, we're going to put the framelit around the stamped image. I shouldn't call it a framelit, sorry. The die around the stamped image. And then the embossing details are going to go in the middle. And they don't die cut, but they just add this stitched detail. So it's kind of like an embosslet, but it is a stitch detail. So we're going to carefully place that down, and then I kind of just push on it and hold it so that it doesn't shift while I'm sending it through. Once it starts going through, it's usually pretty sturdy. As I mentioned, you could use like washi tape or Post-it, like a temporary adhesive Post-it note for the keeping your die right where you need it. Okay, so for our treat box, we have that beautiful stitched outline, and then I did use that center one so you can see on the cardstock what that looks like, and then you get the same detail on the stamped image, though it's a little bit harder to see, and then we get the stitched outline as well. There, so we've got our leaves and our dies. Let's move these out of the way and bring our box back. Okay, so for the box, let me show you the finished project again. I've got my die cut leaves. I used a piece of early espresso to cut the tailored tag punch that's going to go in the center, and then I love this little sprig punch, so I'm punching this from vellum cardstock to add that little detail. And then a piece of Bumblebee, the Hope Changes Everything, is from that Lots of Leaves stamp set. Okay, so those are all that little elements I'm going to use. Let me just show you really quick how to put the box together. I am using, I'm just using my hands. You can use a bone folder. You want to fold on all the crease lines. This extra line, I think, is from the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine because the cutting plate was right. That's where the cutting plate ended, so it applied a little unintended pressure. But that's on the side, so it won't matter so much. Fold on all the score lines. Then you're going to use a pair of scissors and cut on the score lines from the bottom to the perpendicular line. And this last piece you're going to cut off completely. Okay, so that is just to be discarded. And then the adhesive is going to go on this skinny flap. And we'll use them on the bottom flaps as well. So the first thing we're going to put together here is the side. So if you want to keep it nice and straight, you can fold this over while it's flat and fold this here, and it should line up. And then you have a nice Nice adhesive there. And then I am going to fold them all up with the back side going down first and the front side going down last, so that the fold is in the front and the adhesive is in the back. And so just another piece of tear and tape adhesive back here to glue the box closed. Like that. Ugh. Gave it an extra little crease there. Oops. All right, so then it's just a matter of layering the elements. I used a cello bag to package up, and this is just, it's a fake package. I was just doing this for the look, but whatever you have in here, whether it's trail mix or caramel corn or candies, you'll get a little peek of it through the window in the box. So there are some new Hershey candies. I just bought a bag that are different fall colors. I think that would really go well with these colors. And then I put them in a little cello bag and added some bumblebee ribbon to finish off that project. What do you think? Do you guys make treat boxes? Is this a project that you will try and duplicate at home? Let me show you really quick all the projects that we made today on our Facebook Live. We did the Lots of Leaves, Love of Leaves, sorry, Love of Leaves treat box. We started with the light Thanksgiving cards. So we've got our fall projects, and then we've got some winter projects as well. So thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. I hope you leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these projects and what you're working on. I'm so sorry that I will miss you tonight because I'll be at OnStage, but we will be live again next week on Thursday night at 7:10 p.m. Central Time here on Facebook. So I hope that you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.